So good afternoon, everyone. Our topic this afternoon is all about social and cultural institutions. To start, let us read first our learning targets or objectives. So first, I can analyze aspects of social organization. Second, I can identify one's role in social groups and institutions. Okay, so what is social institution? So social institution is defined as a fairly stable cluster of norms, values, statuses, and roles which are centered on some social need. Okay, so for our society to survive and provide safe and sound, satisfying life to its member, the creation of social institution is very important. Okay, so there are five most important institutions in the society that are subject to social changes of the time. So first, education, second, religion, third, health, fourth, mass media, and fifth is economic institution. Okay, so um, these social institutions will suit the needs and the demands of our changing social ecology. Okay, so let's start first with the educational institution. So when we say educational institution, it is created to give young people formal training, the skills that they need later in life. So just for example, in the future, when you apply a job, so educational attainment is very important. Okay, so education has two primary functions. So the first one is to develop a productive citizenry, and the second one is to promote self-actualization. So to develop a productive citizenry, it is through education that people are taught to develop positive outlooks toward concepts of liberty and democracy, as well as to view government as an organization of liberty. And to promote self-actualization, educators should aim to let students discover personal meanings and develop their own perceptions about themselves and their environment. Okay, so education is a basic human right. So the importance attached by many societies to education is connected to the idea that it is a basic human right which everyone on the planet is entitled. Though there are some countries where children are exposed to conflict and wars, whereby instead of holding a pencil and paper to write, they pick guns to fight. So even though kanang naay mga people nga dili gyud sila um, maka-eskwela, pero every human has a right to be educated. No? So as a person, all of us has a right regardless of our age, gender, and condition in life. So let's proceed now to the religion and belief system. So religion is the oldest form of social institution, and religion is as old as human civilization. Okay, so there are evidences that anthropologists discover as an evidence that religion is uh, oldest form of social institution because there are recovered fossilized remains of funeral ceremonies in the form of flowers and artifacts accompanying by the dead. Okay, so it is also an organized system of beliefs concerning supernatural beings. Okay, so religion performs rituals that enhance the solidarity of the community as well as its faith. Okay, so functional roles of religion in society. So there are two functions of religion in society. So the first one is religion is a source of an orderly model of universe. So it provides explanation of the things and experiences that cannot be grasped by human senses. For example, the death and the suffering. And the number two is religion provide the believer with set of guidelines of what is wrong and right. Okay, so as a Christians, we acknowledge the significance of Ten Commandments as a decalogue of moral conduct. Okay, so as an organic entity, religion developed through based on the following chronology. Okay, so there are three. The first one, the animism. So it is the belief that the spirits may dwell in nature, people, or human objects. So as a Filipino, we have also a belief that there are environmental spirits inhabit with the shady trees like balete and or some other big trees. So nagatuod jud ana. Then the polytheism, it is a belief in multiple gods. So from the word poly means daghan. Okay, so naayo bang mga tao nga mutuo sila og kanang lahi-lahi nga Ginoo. For example, itong mga gods and goddesses, God of the sun, God of the moon, and whatever. Okay, so the last one is the monotheism, so the belief in a single all-powerful deity. Okay, so for example, we Christians and also the Muslim. In Christians, we believe only one God, and in Muslim, they believe in Allah. Okay, so let's proceed to the religion as a social institutions. Okay, so social institutions is characterized by these following features. So number one is organized religion or possessing a religious organization. And then separation of church and state, the dualism to unity, and the uniformity to tolerance. Okay, so organized religion or possessing a religious organization. So each religion has a set of moral codes which repetitively taught its believers until they internalize and accept as truth. Okay, so there are four basic types of religious organization. So the first one is the ecclesia, a religious organization that claims the membership of everyone in society or even in several societies. So this religion is majority or most of the citizen is belongs to this organization. For example, the Christianity and the Catholicism. So daghan jud kayo ang belong ana nga organization. Okay, so the denomination or church is two or more established, relatively tolerant religious organization that claims substantial part of population. So for example, the Roman Catholic, Greek Orthodox, and the Russian Orthodox. Okay, so the sect is an exclusive and uncompromising religious organization, often one that has split off from a denomination due to doctrinal reason. Okay, so for example, yung mga Protestante, so mahawa sila ng mga denomination or organization. So for example, nabilong sila sa Catholicism organization before. So because of doctrinal reasons, nihawa sila. So mana silang ginatawag og Protestant. So for example, ano nila is mga Baptist, Conventional Baptist, Temple Baptist, and Jehovah's Witnesses, and so on. Okay, so the last one is the cult, a loosely organized religious movement and independent from religious tradition of the surrounding society. So, kana sila napon na sila different traditions or beliefs ang cult. So, let's proceed to the second one, which is the separation of the church and states. So in the Philippines, the Constitution states that the separation of the church and the state is inviolable. So Section 6, Article 2, this means that no law should be made respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Section 5, Article 3, Bill of Rights. Okay, so simply, our country is not allowed to establish a national religion, and it cannot interfere in the free exercise of religious belief to the citizen. So dili jud pwede nga natay only one or national religion because of this law. So the third one is the dualism to unity. So because of the idea that people were created with two natures, the body and the soul, it was thought that organization of society should be parallel to dualism. Okay, so the needs of our body would be provided by the state, and the church would take care of the needs of the soul. So for example, ang sa tong state is ang government or ang institutions ang mag-provide ani. For example, ang tong foods, education, health institution, ana. So mo na siya. And then for the for our soul, so ang atong religion ang mag-provide ani. For example, is our spiritual needs and our personal relationship to God and for the quest of our salvation. So ang religion ang mag-guide sa tuwa para ani. So importante jud kay ni siyang institution. Then the fourth one is uniformity to tolerance. So whether people's religious beliefs are relevant to citizenship and their allegiance to the sovereign is an important issue that needs to be discussed. Okay, so from the very beginning, it was evident that it did not matter to the sovereign what his or her people religious belief is. No, so nagid tay freedom sa tuang religion. Okay, so as a social institution, religion significantly influences the dynamics of the state by serving as the latter conscience, especially in the matters dealing with metaphysical reality and morality. Okay, so let's proceed to the health institution. So each society develops its own concept of the health and sickness and authorizes certain people to decide who is sick and how should be treated. So almost all societies worldwide or a person's health is considered as the precious and priceless asset, although sometimes taken for granted for the people. So sometimes atong ginabuso ang atuang health. So nagsalig ta nga bata pa bitaw ta dili pa ta masakit ana. Pero karon sa panahon di jud ta makaingon na no because naay mga mga cases nga bisan pa bata pa ka nag-high blood na gatake nag high blood no. So mo na siya nga sometimes ginabuso na to atong sarili. But naay mga institutions nga naga help sa tua para kung magsakit ta kanang i-treat na nila. Or so okay. So in medicine, when we say medicine, it is an institution concerned with health and treatment of diseases. Okay, so when we say illness, refers to the meaning and the elaboration given to the particular physical state. For example, asthma or tuberculum. So diseases refers to a specific pathology. Okay, so there are 4 kinds of disease, which is the epidemic, endemic, chronic, and acute disease. So when we say endemic disease, this kind of disease is always present in the large part of population. So for example, the dysentery. So it is the result of contaminated food and water supply. So muna siyang kanang sagaran, kalibangaon, magsuka-suka. So common kana siya sa lugar sa Africa ug India. So epidemic disease, it affects a significant part of the population wherein the disease is normally uncommon to the people in the area. Okay, so for example, the influenza always occurs as a epidemic. So it's surging through a population and affecting an abnormal high number of people until it runs its course. Okay, so another example po sa kaning atong na experience karon kaning COVID-19. So epidemic disease na siya. Then the chronic disease, it is a disease that lasts a long time. So for example, mga sakit nga magdugay sa kana diabetes, arthritis, dili na siya kanang madadali gyud kanang cure pero ma-prevent na siya. Okay, so acute disease. So this is a short duration disease. So for example, measles and common colds. So pwede na siya i-treat. Pwede siya ayuhon or it can be cured. Just like unlike the chronic disease. Okay, so the social impact of disease. The social impact of disease does not only fall to a victim who may experience discomfort, pain, anxiety, confinement, and even death, but also extend to the family, community, and society. Okay, so sick people are typically unable to play their normal social rules, which may be performed by others or abandoned. Kung magsakit ta, syempre dili gyud ta makatarong kung natay trabaho, kanang dili jud makayo sa tong lawas, manang dili jud ta makahimo sa tong dapat nga kanang mga buhaton sa tong roles. Okay, so system, diagnosis, prevention, healing. So all societies have healthcare systems consisting of beliefs, custom, techniques that ensure the health of the members. So just like here in the Philippines, so natay mga medical doctors para diha ta mo konsulta if natay mga sakit. No, so kanang pong mga in a remote areas like kanang mga bukid, so na sila ginatawag diha nga kanang mga ang ilang madali-dali diha tawag is mga quack doctor or mga albularyo. Kay syempre kanang sa mga remote areas wala kayo kanang mga diha mga medical staff, di sud jud kina sila tuan. So na sila yung mga ingana. So okay magyapon na sila as long as dili makasama sa ilaha. Then health is a human right. So a functionalist reason that health citizens become productive members of society makes health as a human right. Okay, so in the Philippines, so natay mga health services program diri like MaxiCare and Fortune Care o kanang PhilHealth. But beside kanang kana siya like for example sa PhilHealth, maka-avail manggaling ta ng PhilHealth pero kailangan pud ta mo bayad. Dili ta makabasta-basta avail sa PhilHealth. For example, ma-admit ta nya maggamit ta sa PhilHealth, di jud ta ka kuan di ta ka basta-basta og kanang gamit anak kung wala tay contribution, no? So in other companies ilan na siyang kanang salary deduction as siya. Pero katong mga kuan, katong mga basta nang dili ka bayad ana, so mo nang naiuban nga dili jud maka-avail sa mga ingana. Okay, so health institution. So as a social institution has a vital role in ensuring the health of its constituents by providing more access to health services such as hospitals and clinics, shippers, medicine, and special health privilege niya. Katupong sa kanang kuan, kung dili magaling ta kaabil atong mga PhilHealth, ang atupong kanang government, tama po na sila ginatawag og kanang mga nana sila government assistance kung dili man galing ta maka-avail atong mga PhilHealth MaxiCare because wala ta nakabayad. So makakuan gyapon ta, nagyapon tay kanang health privilege. For example, kanang lingap, ana makakuan gyapon ta ana. Makagamit pwede gyapon ta makagamit ana bisag wala tay mga kuan para malas kung tayo ma-hospital manggaling ta. Okay, so let's proceed to the mass media. So mass media is composed of print media, books, magazine, newspaper, and non-print media is the television, movies, radio, internet, and social media. Okay, so among social institutions, mass media is the most conspicuous, ubiquitous, and overreaching in the scope and coverage in the modern world. Okay. Ang mass media, through it, kanang we can easily connect to the other people, makabalo din ito sa mga balita, tanaw lang tag TV, makuha ta ma-updated, pero updated ta sa mga panghitabo sa lain-laing lugar, no? So ma-aware ta. Okay, so this type of media is used to disseminate information, oftentimes regardless of the borders or territory. Kung sa unsa pa na siya kalayo, makabalo ta sa mga balita dira. Sabi na sa kanang Facebook, no? So social media and technology. In today's technology-driven society, mass media, through its most conspicuous medium, social media, serves as a significant purveyor of popular culture, especially today events that affects the world at large. Okay, so overall, the technology, internet, and social media help empower individuals and allow people to spread ideas and communicate to others easily and faster. So dali ra kay kita maka-communicate through aning social media or technology. For example, sa tuong ginabuhat karon since wala tay face-to-face classes, no? So kinahanglan gyapon ta magpadayon sa tong pagtuon. So through kanang technology, makakuan ka punta niya through online or virtual online learning. Pwede ka punta na. So the last one is the economic institutions. So aside from acquiring the basic needs, such as food, water, and shelter, people also aspire for goods and services that can only be attained through collective efforts. Okay, so aside changing in the means of production as well as the distribution and exchanges of production as well as the distribution and exchanges of resources and services strongly affect the overall functioning of the society. So the patterns of redistribution exchange of material goods. So reciprocity is a transaction between two socially equal parties concerning goods or services that are estimated to be equal of value. So ang reciprocity murag same na siya sa karon ginatawag nato nga barter, which is a form of trade in which goods and services are exchanged for the other goods and services. So muna siya mag-exchange. May exchange o kanang goods or services. Ano muna siya ang same as the reciprocity ang barter. Okay, so there are three types of reciprocity. So the generalized reciprocity. So this is undertaken by closely related people. So this type of reciprocity is more of gesture that expresses personal relationship than economic transaction. So for example, in our country, so children expresses generalized reciprocity to their parents by graduating in college and fulfilling the wishes of our parents. So kung makagraduate na ta, makamantag eskwela, no, ang barter nato sa reciprocity nato sa itong parents is kanang ihatag kung sa tilang mga panghagyan sa itong mga wishes, silang mga needs. Kung na siya ang, for example, ang example sa generalized reciprocity. So let's proceed to the balanced reciprocity. So this transaction is undertaken with people who are considered outsiders of the group. Okay, so when we say balance, so for example, business transaction between two companies or certain company sponsors a particular activity. So for example, sa kanang salida nga kuan wawawin, so kanang front row. So ang front row naga-sponsor na siya sa salida ni Willie sa wawawin, na-sponsoran niya ang exchange na niya is kanang promotion o kanang publicity kay kanang bisag maghatag siya sponsor mabawi mangyapon niya sa promotion kay daghan man og motang kilik sa iyang produkto. So mo na siya na balance reciprocity. Then the negative reciprocity is the transaction is based on distrust because there is no personal relationship between two parties. So for example, in this form of transaction, people try to profit as much as possible and pay the least amount as possible. Also often, deceitful means are practiced to gain profit. So let's proceed to the redistribution. So all produced by the country is sent to the center where they stored, counted, and later on distributed back to the people. So mo na siya. Pauntanan, butang sa isa ka lugar, i-store, ihapon, yung ibalik na po sa mga tao. Walang redistribution. So market exchange. So the price of the exchange of goods and services are supposedly dictated by the rules of supply and demand. So ang sa maning rules of supply and demand. So kung taas ang supply, kung daghan ang supply, low ang demand, so the price is low. Pero pag taas ang demand, tapos ang supply is gamay lang, syempre the price is up muna ang low sa supply and demand. So however, personal loyalties and moral values intervene in the price determination most of the time. So kinahanglan jud ang loyalties ug moral values dili ta mag-base anang supply and demand, no? Pero kung gamay ka ng asa mo na siya. So there are three major economic sectors, which is the primary sector, secondary, and the tertiary. So ang primary sector, it is the main producer of raw materials. So this sector involves the gathering and extracting of undeveloped resources. So mo ni siya ang kuan. Ang primary sector, mo ni silang main producers sa mga raw materials. So for example, mga raw materials yung mga isda, So mo ni siya ang katong fishermen, sila ang nagaproduce ni mga fishermen, kanang mga kahoy. So mo na sila ang primary sector. Mga mangingisda, agriculturist. So the secondary sector that turns the raw materials gathered by the primary sector into manufactured goods. Okay, so mo ni siya ang katong mga carpenter. Mga carpenter. Eh katong mga raw materials, sila naman ang mohimo ato og kanang mo manufacture ato. For example, maghimo sila og balay through mga kahoy gikan sa primary sector, no, mga furniture, mga mahimukan goods, kung mga isda ang nakuha, na siya ang mga manufacturer. So the tertiary sector, sila tong nag-provide of services to the community. Yung sa kasi nga services. Kanang, for example, mga teacher. So, teacher because she provides education to the students. So, muna siya ang mga tertiary sector. So, for example, sa tertiary sector as a teacher, so, for example, the public school teachers serve as educator of students who are also the children of factory workers that make canned goods and sardines. So, ang tertiary sector, mga teacher, mupalit siya sa kanang sa mga kanang manufacture goods from the secondary sector. So, mo na siya. So, let's proceed to the recap. Okay, so earlier we talked about the 5 most important institutions in the society. So the educational institutions, religion and belief system, health and mass media, and economic institution. So under educational institution, we discussed about the 2 primary functions, which is to develop a productive citizenry and to promote self-actualization. So in religion and belief system, which is characterized by the organized religion, separation of church and state, dualism to unity, and uniformity to tolerance. So in the health institution, under of it is the disease and illness, social impact of disease, system diagnosis, prevention, healing, and health as a human right. And the mass media includes the social media and technology. And the last one is the economic institution, which we discussed the patterns of distribution, exchange of material goods, redistribution, market exchange, and major economic sectors. Okay, so I hope you understand our topic for this afternoon. So goodbye, everyone.